No rain showing up on the live Super Doppler 2 radar at this hour, and things looking pretty good around the Cape. In the meantime, temperatures ranging from the 40 degrees, 47 for example, up in Tallahassee, 41 in Pensacola, and 63 degrees down in the Conch Republic. For today, we'll see temperatures generally right around that 70-degree mark. Daytona Beach at 69, 71 degrees in Melbourne. And as far as the shuttle is concerned, maybe a few low clouds over there. Temperatures trying to squeeze up into the upper 50s. Winds will be out of the northwest at about 10 miles per hour. Raul, they're on their way back, and they'll be down any moment.
They sure are, Marty. Thank you so much. And we are breaking away from the Today Show now for a few minutes to show you the landing of the Space Shuttle Columbia. Touchdown is just a few minutes away. News Channel 2 space reporter Dan Billow is live at the Kennedy Space Center now and joins us with the final moment of this historic flight. Dan?
Raul, we're about 7 minutes from touchdown here, and we're right at the Kennedy Space Center runway. Folks in Central Florida will be hearing sonic booms if they're not hearing them already very soon. Take a look behind me just very quickly. The low clouds Marty was talking about, they're right there to our north. Coming in, I think, a little faster, a little sooner than the Spaceflight Meteorology Group expected, and a little sooner, obviously, than they would like. The Space Shuttle, however, will be brought in from the opposite direction. You're seeing the runway right there. Be brought in from the opposite direction, landing south to north, and may squeak in from that south side of the runway before those clouds get there. The commander of the Space Shuttle obviously wants to have a good view of the runway as he comes in at about 220 miles an hour. And of course, we'll just have the one pass to make the one chance to come in landing. The feeling of gravity will be unfamiliar to Commander Rick Husband as he comes in. Let's give you a look at mission control as they help bring the orbiter in. And we're going to be seeing, I believe, some shots from the commander's point of view, as if you were aboard the Space Shuttle. We'll be able to see that from onboard Columbia as they fly over the Florida coast. We believe. You can never guarantee that, but those pictures from the Space Shuttle cockpit are always compelling stuff to see. And we will hear the talk between Mission Control and the Space Shuttle. We'll hear the Space Shuttle commentator, James Hartsfield. We'll let you go ahead and listen into quite a bit of that this morning as we take you down here through these last 5 minutes or so of Columbia's landing. This is the 28th flight of the Space Shuttle Columbia, the 113th flight of the Space Shuttle overall since 1981. And in this case, there are about 70 international scientists very interested in the cargo that Columbia is bringing home. They've spent those 16 days in space doing nothing but science. This was not a space station flight, unusual in this day and age. They have had dozens of science experiments, research to do, looking at how spaceflight affects people and looking how it affects materials. And some of the valuable cargo that they're bringing home, of course, is valuable because the results can only be obtained in space. There are all kinds. There are bone experiments. There's bone culture that has been growing in space. It grows differently in space than in gravity. There are living creatures. There are fish. There are ants. There are spiders. There are all kinds of things. And the Columbia orbiter will sit on the runway for quite some period of time as they unload that valuable cargo. And as you see now, here's where they're coming in over the northern edge of Central Florida, you might say, before dipping down.
Continuing to stand by for communication.
Dipping down around Orlando, Sanford, Titusville. And they should be here in another about 3.5 minutes.
Ask a quick question now, Dan. Of course, we've heard a lot about the security down there for Elon Ramon, the Israeli astronaut. Anything you can tell us on that front?
The security is very much heightened today, but lower profile than on the days leading up to the launch. There are fewer officers here enforcing security. It is a simpler task to secure a landing shuttle than it is a launching space shuttle, simply because the shuttle is not out there as a target on the launch pad for days and days before launch. You also have fewer VIPs here, but I'll tell you, there is a great number of Israeli media here at the landing strip. The astronauts' families are here, as they always are. They all have a personal escort of local and federal law enforcement people following their every move, and all around the runway here, the area you can guarantee is quite secure. You got the clouds now having pretty much moved over as they move in rather quickly the whole runway area, and I'll be interested to see whether the commander of the space shuttle has a good view of the runway as he comes in. The space shuttle has very high-tech instruments, as you can imagine, and the guidance should be fine. It should be no problem, really, if they have to come in with poor visibility. But they may not have quite gotten the weather call right here today. As you take a look at some fairly low clouds with 2 minutes to go, really not hearing much from Mission Control. I'm almost starting to doubt whether the sound is working very well. Here we go.
Continue to seek tracking or communications with the Columbia through Merritt Island Tracking Station.
Well,
Last communications with Columbia was at 8 a.m. Central Time, approximately above Texas, as it approached the Kennedy Space Center for its landing.
wow.
Flight Director Leroy Kane is now instructing controllers to get out their contingency procedures and begin to follow those.
Oh my goodness. That's unprecedented. That's not good.
The flight dynamics officer reports no tracking data from C-band radar at the Merritt Island Tracking Station has been reported of any objects.
Whoa. Well, you're hearing commentator James Hartsfield in Mission Control saying that the tracking station here on Merritt Island, here at the Kennedy Space Center, is not able to pick up anything. Not able to pick up anything at all of the space shuttle. The space shuttle should be sending telemetry actively that is picked up by receivers on the ground, and independent of that, receivers on the ground should be able, just by radar, to go and to go ahead and pick up a signal of anything that is flying in the area. I mean, that's simple. That's routine. That's doable. It has nothing to do with the clouds that you're looking at. The last communications, as you heard, from the space shuttle, we were just after 9 o'clock. He said 8 o'clock Central Time, just after 9 o'clock our time. That's 15 minutes ago. Right now we're counting down to 3 seconds to landing. Yeah, they're supposed to be landing right now. They're not here. Where are they? They're lost. I'm going to stop short of saying this is a disaster yet. But you're hearing what I'm hearing from Mission Control. We hear nothing at all. You heard Hartsfield, the commentator, say the flight director Leroy Kane is telling people to get in Mission Control to start looking at their contingency procedures, to start looking at what they do to as their backup plan to try to figure out what has happened to the space shuttle.
Now, Dan, obviously communication's been lost here. Any chance that maybe there's a problem with the radios on board as far as that's concerned? No word yet that you're hearing on your end?
No, no communication from the space shuttle. No one on the space shuttle has said anything to Mission Control. They have not heard any voice contact. They have apparently no telemetry. It is all dropped out.
Can you hear any concern as far as Mission Control, as far as Houston, Cape Canaveral, anything now that we're past the scheduled time of landing for the shuttle? I mean,
yeah, this is this is a bad thing. There's not much you can say about it. We are a minute and a half past the scheduled landing time. The space shuttle is not here. This has never happened before. They are gone. I don't mean gone forever. I mean they are gone as far as we know. And you can't stop on the way and take a break here. You don't stop, and you don't really land on a highway somewhere because you're having trouble between Texas and here. It's about the last that was seen or heard from the space shuttle. And again, any time, the instant that anyone from Mission Control says it, here we go.
Flight Director Leroy Kane is instructing controllers to follow contingency procedures The last communications with the Shuttle Columbia during its descent from orbit were at about 8 a.m. Central Time as it was descending through the atmosphere. At an altitude of about 207,000 feet, en route to the Kennedy Space Center, Florida, and a touchdown that was anticipated to occur about 2.5 minutes ago. Flight controllers received no further communications with the spacecraft after about 8 a.m. Central Time, and no further tracking data from the spacecraft was gained from C-band tracking radar at the Merritt Island tracking station in Florida.
Well, there's the update for Mission Control, the same update we heard a few moments ago. They
contingency procedures in effect in Mission Control require all operators to conserve all their data and log books and notes that have been taken, that being instructed by Flight Director Leroy Kane, for controllers to begin following those steps and secure all information.
Well, we've got a first-class
testing, a page
problem on our hands. As you heard James Hartsfield say, 207,000 feet altitude was the last that was seen or heard of the Space Shuttle Columbia and the 7 people who are or were on board the Space Shuttle. They are using radar in the Merritt Island area to look for them. Now, you know, when they're at 200,000 feet altitude and where they were at that point.
Leroy Kane has declared a contingency. Flight controllers here in Mission Control are securing all their information, notes, and data gathered from the spacecraft. The last communications with Columbia at 8 a.m. Central Time as it was descending toward Florida for its landing. At that time, about 207,000 feet above Central Texas, traveling approximately 12,500 miles per hour, 1,192 miles from its touchdown at Kennedy Space Center.
Now, at that point, over
7 a.m., no communications were received with Columbia and no tracking data received through the Merritt Island tracking station. Those efforts made. Flight Dynamics Officer reports no objects tracked through that tracking data.
Things stirring around here at the runway now. Some of the security folks. Looks like we got a van full of, yeah, you just saw it. Looks like that van is probably full of family members of the astronauts being driven away from the runway here. Just got a glimpse of them as they took off. You know, here again over Central Texas, 200,000 feet high, going 12,000 miles an hour. Is the last that was seen or heard from the Space Shuttle Columbia. And you don't really, you've heard James Hartsfield in Mission Control say here that they are using radar on Merritt Island here in Florida to try to track the Space Shuttle to see any objects. It's a long way from here to Central Texas, obviously all the way across the Gulf of Mexico. Whether they even got within range of this tracking station here to be seen even as debris or any objects that may be falling through the air is unknown. You know, there are many contingency plans that the astronauts go through when they practice their landings, and they get the best test pilots they can and most creative, resourceful people that they can who can bring the shuttle through trouble.
Now, Dan, if
here
I could,
in this case, you know, you just don't know if they ever had a chance or if they will ever show up. You know.
Now,
maybe.
Dan, if I can jump in here for a minute, obviously we don't want to speculate as to what may have happened, but as far as the crowds, any crowds that you can see that were there for the landing, are you seeing them reacting at all? Or is there shock? Is there surprise as to them wondering what could be going on?
Well, we're starting to see some of the crowd just filter away. Their family members.
Go back to the press site. Please pack up and go back to the press site. We are trying to close operations here. We'll go back to the press site.
Well, I think
we
you
will
heard
address any questions at the press site.
that announcement from from the public affairs people at NASA. There's a shot of the people who are here to see the launch or landing. In some cases, family members, we think they're gone already, and many Kennedy Space Center workers, top officials of NASA are probably among that crowd. Viewers, people who come here to, always to cheer the landing and to see the space shuttle come home. And this is the 113th mission, 111 times the space shuttle has come home with no problem, and everyone's cheered and been happy. You had Challenger back in 1986 that did not return, and now you have STS-107 that has not returned. 8 minutes ago it was supposed to come down on this runway, and it's not here, and it's not going to be here. Where it is, Mission Control tells us it was last known to be over Central Texas. That's about all we can tell you. Why anything, what could happen at that altitude, why anything could happen at that altitude is just absolutely unknown. We know of what was considered to be a minor problem before landing that they'll have to look into now. And what that was that during launch, a piece of insulation on the shuttle's big external fuel tank apparently came loose and struck the left wing of Columbia. Now, this was 16 days ago at launch. Now, through analysis and through some, whatever procedures they have, but not by direct looking, mission managers figured that the damage to the wing was very small. And as far as we know, they were right. I have no idea. They do not have a robot arm on the space shuttle on this flight. Did not have one. Don't have any way to stick a camera over the edge to see the wing. You really can't see the wing from the cockpit. Let's listen to this.
Securing information and data. The last communications with the Space Shuttle Columbia were at 8 a.m. Central Time as it was flying 200,000 feet above Central Texas, en route to the Kennedy Space Center for a landing. No communications have been received with the spacecraft since. No tracking data of objects of any kind reported by the Merritt Island tracking site and its C-band radar when used to sweep the sky. Flight Director Leroy Kane has declared a contingency. Flight controllers are securing all information and data and notes. No tracking reported again up Columbia since about 8 a.m. Central Time as it was descending toward Florida, toward the Kennedy Space Center above Central Texas.
Attention at the press mound. Again, I say, please shut down your operations and go to the press site.
Well, we could potentially be thrown out of here, but we'll wait around until they kind of pick us up and carry us away. It's a possibility, though. Well, you heard the latest report from Mission Control. The speaker just there was James Hartsfield, the NASA commentator who was in Mission Control, just repeating the information that nothing has been heard from the crew of Columbia. They were supposed to land 11 minutes ago, and they are not here, and they are not coming back. They're not coming back to the Kennedy Space Center in one piece as far as the space shuttle is concerned. Whether or not they may have been able to come down someplace else, made an emergency landing is doubtful. It's very doubtful, but we'll just hold out hope and wait to get the official word. Now, I was talking about the minor damage, what was considered to be minor damage to the wing. This is a possibility. This is what could have happened. I was saying that they had no way of seeing that damage to the wing, and what they were doing was kind of extrapolating, trying to figure out, through analysis that a piece of foam insulation, it's like styrofoam, this stuff that covers the tank, the orange that gives the tank its orange color. It's like big, thick styrofoam. If some of that comes off, through all of their analysis, they thought that there's no way that could do serious damage to anything on the space shuttle if a piece of that came off. And they can't really go recover it and go look at what it was. You know, obviously it's in the tiniest pieces. The tank itself breaks up and falls into the ocean after launch. There's no way to recover any of that, to analyze that. It burns up on the way down. So you have damage to the wing of the space shuttle that we know. We have the flight director. In fact, I'm going to have our cameraman Rick go down and get that tape from yesterday. We'll lock down the camera. We'll get that press conference from yesterday, and we'll use both responses from Leroy Kane. We'll make an effort here to replay that for you and have you hear the flight director, who is in mission control right now, brief the news media yesterday. This will take us a minute or two to get this rounded up here. When we get to it, we'll let you hear Leroy Kane himself explain what the situation was with potential damage to the space shuttle's wing. Now, all right, we may be being made to leave here, but let's see what we can do. Let me just finish that thought. When you have the damage to the tile, this is what keeps the space shuttle from burning up. When you have if the tile is missing, you could begin to have the aluminum frame of the space shuttle and wing. That could actually burn through and melt through at the temperatures that they experience during re-entry into the atmosphere. So if the tile is not protecting the space shuttle, then you can begin to burn up, break up, you know, and if the wing gives way, then obviously they're not going to make it home. Now, I want to emphasize that I have no idea, I don't think anyone else has any idea at this point if that's what happened. We simply know at this point that yesterday Mission Control was telling us that there was some minor damage to the protective system, to the tile on the wing. Let's listen to Mission Control now.
Teams have been mobilized to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. No tracking data or communications has been reported from the Space Shuttle Columbia since 8 a.m. Central Time this morning, as it flew 200,000 feet above north central Texas en route to a landing at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Contingency procedures and mission control have a flight controller securing all information and data. From today's shuttle descent.
About 15 minutes now since anything was, or since the space shuttle should have landed. About a half an hour since anything was heard from the space shuttle at all. 7 crew members: Rick Husband, the commander; Willie McCool, the pilot; Mike Anderson, payload commander; Kalpana Chawla, mission specialist; Laurel Clark, mission specialist; Ilan Ramon, Israel's first astronaut, all on board. We're still talking about NASA forcing me to leave from my broadcast position here, and if they do that, you know, we'll go away for a little while and we'll come back. Let's go ahead and now listen to Leroy McCain from yesterday. I think we've got 2 responses that he had in a row where he talked about what he considered minor damage to the space shuttle's wing. Here's Leroy Kane.
We have plenty of margin in those areas in that regard, and that the impact could not have been from this particular material significant enough to take out any significant amount of tile. So I can't tell you inches by inches or depth, but I can tell you we think it's going to be very small.
Let's keep going, keep rolling.
Our final flight day highlights package will air on NASA television.
All right, well, we got part of it, that he considered it to be very small damage, and that just didn't think there was any possibility that the minor damage to the space shuttle's wing could have caused any problem on the way down. But they had a problem on the way down. In fact, they never made it down. 7 people on the space shuttle. There's no reports from Mission Control, as you've heard, that they landed anywhere else. And they can't still be up there. That's not possible. It's not possible for them to still be up there. So they didn't make it. And you heard also, I believe, that the 7, or that there are recovery teams in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
This is Mission Control, Houston. Flight controllers here continue
begin some searching.
in a contingency, securing information and data from today's space shuttle descent of the shuttle Columbia. Columbia's last communication was received at about 8 a.m. Central Time as Columbia flew 200,000 feet above north central Texas. Search and rescue teams in the Dallas-Fort Worth area have been alerted. No communications or tracking of any type was received after 8 a.m. Central Time along Columbia's planned route toward the Kennedy Space Center, toward a landing there this morning that had been planned to take place at 8:16 a.m. Central Time.
All right, let's break away from James Hartsfield's voice here and give you a look at video that is from Dallas, and that is hauntingly reminiscent of the Challenger disaster. That is something that is falling out of the sky, breaking up into pieces and burning near Dallas. Obviously made quite a significant sight in the air in central Texas. We know that over central Texas was the last moment that anything was heard from the space shuttle and crew. At no time have we been told that that there was any problem reported by the crew or that anything unusual was seen by Mission Control. Mission Control has not said, has not told us that
again, last communications from the space shuttle Columbia
there was any problem
above north central Texas
reported
at 8 a.m.
by
Central
the space
Time
shuttle
as it
crew or
descended toward
through
Florida.
telemetry.
Any debris that is located in the central Texas area or in that vicinity should be avoided and can be potentially hazardous, and its location should be reported to NASA. Again, flight controllers here in Mission Control have declared a contingency, securing all information and data pertinent to today's descent of the Space Shuttle Columbia.
All righty, we are being forced now to leave our broadcast position by NASA for some reason. Don't really understand why we need to do that, but we're going to need to go ahead and let the network take over. And as you look at what appears to be the debris from the space shuttle falling down over central Texas, 7 people aboard from that altitude, really no way for anyone to survive a fall. They have parachutes, they have all kinds of survival equipment, but that's not going to do you any good at 12,000 miles an hour. At 200,000 feet altitude. As you take a look at what may be the Space Shuttle Columbia, nobody confirming that, but you hear what Mission Control is saying, that debris over central Texas should be avoided and reported to NASA. That's where they're looking, that's where they lost contact, and that appears to be what happened. So Dave Brown on the left here, didn't mention him before. Dave Brown, going left to right, Rick Husband, Laurel Clark, Kalpana Chawla, Mike Anderson, Willie McCool, Ilan Ramon from Israel. Whether or not they will ever be heard from again has not officially been announced whether they've survived or not, but don't think it's possible to survive what they've been through. And I'll be back with you in a few minutes. Raul?
Dan, thank you very much. Dan Bellow reporting there from Cape Canaveral. Obviously, what looks like it's another tragic day in the history of the space program. Obviously, everyone is very shaken up. We're going to join Network NBC program right now with the very latest.